This episode of Horror Movie Talk is brought to you by non-denominational spirituality. Do you like the condescension and performative social media posts, but not the time commitment or theological consistency of organized religion? Then you might want to explore non-denominational spirituality. At least you're not like those godless secular humanists. Non-denominational spirituality. I'm spiritual, but not religious.
Is this a metal thing? Yes. Little taste.
David, what is this?
Pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo being pregnant? Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Pew, 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 pew. I'm Bryce Hanson, the elder statesman of HMT, and with me this week are two whippersnappers, Max and Sydney.
Hello.
That's right, folks.
Hello.
Yep. Hey, quiet down when I'm talking, all right? That's
You
right,
told
folks.
me to cut you off more.
We're-
Actually.
We're back and currently auditioning new co-hosts. You might be wondering, hey, why are you doing another episode with Max and Sydney before you get through all the other co-hosts? The answer is, I do what I want. Shut up. The most important thing is we're back to our roots and reviewing, get this, horror movies. So new theatrical
Shocker.
releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Note the pronunciation. Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Be sure to share. Also, check out patreon.com/horrormovie, the equivalent of the adult section in your video rental store. If you want to add your P to the community pool, go to horrormovietalk.com or call 682-253-4468 and leave us a voicemail. I just posted the voicemail episode with David last night and got some good reactions to it. Did you guys listen
Oh yeah.
to that one at all?
I
It's so
didn't
good
yet.
hearing
I
David
am
again.
so sorry. But I will.
I forgot. Well, it's been less than 24 hours.
Okay.
But I forgot at how funny Robert the Farter was.
Oh my gosh, dude! The way that call ended had me in tears. It was so funny.
Oh, so good. It was very touching. A lot of people, were very confused from the original announcement and my fatalism, and thought that horror movie would never be back. But we're back, baby.
We need
Hey,
an
you
update on Robert
specifically
the
said
Farter.
hiatus, so
I did say hiatus, but without David, is life worth living anymore? That is the question.
Bryce, you're not allowed to make those jokes. We're too worried about you. We
I
need an
know.
update on Robert the Farter, though. I'm worried about him actually.
I
The
hope he,
cliffhanger was quite dramatic.
yeah, I hope he calls in soon. We'll see. I don't know. I could probably check whether he's called in, but now he knows that we're still here. But regardless of Robert the Farter's life or death, we've got a great show today. We'll be reviewing The Exorcist Believer.
woo.
We'll start out by giving a brief review on our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll take a deep dive into spoilers and tell you what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, I've got a new game, which, to be honest, I think Max is going to have an edge on. It's called Demon or Utah Names.
Oh yeah.
So
Did you
have
just
to-
make that to cater to him, or what? Like, come on.
I don't want to say that I have.
I only lived
Did I
in
have
Utah for
favorites?
like 15 years. It's fine.
Well, I've never been there, so that's not fair. It's not fair at all.
We mentioned it in the past, way like a couple of years ago, like how weird some Utah names are.
I remember
And
that.
I think I think it's going to be a good game. It's
I'm
going to
excited.
be pretty hard, even for Max, I think.
Are they weird or are they sacred?
It's not secret; they're sacred. So let's get into this episode. The Exorcist Believer can be found on Peacock and also rented or bought at places. I think it's going on sale on DVD on the 18th, so just in time for the Christmas season. So you can buy a mediocre horror movie for the special person in your life. The Exorcist Believer is a direct sequel to the original 1973 The Exorcist. In this film, we get not one, but two. That's right, two possessions for the price of one. When two teenage girls go out into the woods to perform a seance, they disappear and reappear days later acting strange.
Spooky.
Their parents struggle to find out what the reason. It's possession. They're possessed. The father of one of the girls, played by Leslie Odom Jr., must recruit an Ocean's 11 type ragtag group of exorcists, and Chris McNeil, reprised by Ellen Burstyn, who I can only assume had an important boat she wanted to buy. NBC Universal shelled out $400 million on the rights to the Exorcist IP. Whoa. And entrusted David Gordon Green to work his soft reboot magic that he showed with the Halloween franchise.
That's crazy.
No,
Yeah.
don't do it.
They've committed to producing 2 more of these Exorcist films. After watching this one, I'm not a believer.
Yeah.
Stop giving that man IP.
What the hell?
You know, Halloween is not sacred to me, so I didn't really care. Like, to be honest, like, is it really that bad that are those remakes really that bad compared to, like, Halloween?
Well, we know how you
4
feel
through
about
whatever.
Halloween, the Halloween franchise, so that's totally different.
Yeah,
But-
to me, yeah, The Exorcist is sacred. It's my favorite horror movie, and so I'm a little biased on this one. Not to say that there's not plenty of horrible sequels and prequels to the franchise. This film fails to recapture the humanity, darkness, and complexity of the original, much like most of those sequels and prequels. You could point to the fact that all these sequels keep giving these movies to mediocre or hack directors like Rennie Harlan, but even John Borman fucked up The Exorcist 2, and he directed Deliverance.
Yep.
Also, since The Exorcist was released, it seems like there's rarely a year that goes by that there isn't an exorcism-themed horror movie in theaters. It's a tired trope at this point. As a result, The Exorcist Believer comes off as another generic possession movie going through the motions while skipping all the boring parts like relationships or character development or mystery. A lot of eyes have rolled over some of the messaging in the movie about being woke. Ellen Burstyn's line about not being part of the damn patriarchy and being excluded from the original Exorcism comes off as heavy-handed and completely detached from the story of the original film. I think Chris McNeil's character is the greatest casualty of this film. However, I think the root problem is that in trying to make Exorcism more inclusive and exploring the universality of evil, it comes off as wishy-washy and non-committal. Much like, non-denomination spirituality.
It's the one place we needed more diversity. Exorcisms.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, devout Mormon for many years.
Really? I had
But
no
even
idea.
even I, after watching the Exorcist films, would be like, bring in a fucking priest, right? You got to be a fan. It's like when you're watching the 90s NBA championship, like, of course the Blazers aren't going to be playing, but you might as well just cheer for the Bulls because they're going to win. So, it's like, if you're going to have an exorcism, like, you want to see the Catholic priest. right?
But I'm
I don't know,
excited
I
to
was-
talk about that aspect of it, though, because
I was a little disappointed that there was no LDS missionaries in the
Right?
in the ring.
Right? Yeah. Did
I'm
you
sorry
ever get
that I grew up Catholic. Like, I'm being outnumbered right now.
I mean, you've got us on this one. I mean,
I guess so.
Yeah, this is your movie.
Yeah, I performed I oversaw a lot of exorcisms in Catholic school, so that was like a core part of our curriculum. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's like Exorcism 101.
Yeah.
Max, did you ever perform an exorcism on your mission?
I was asked to, and then I went to the house, and it was so disgusting and dark in there. I was like, open the blinds and clean your house, and then you'll feel fine. Because there's nothing wrong except for it's disgusting in here. So do that, and then you'll feel okay.
You know, not bad advice, to be honest. I think a lot of like horror movie families could just clean up their house and add some, some lighting,
Natural
and that
light.
would probably take care of most of the spirits. Like, if anything has taught me, like spirits like dark houses, with low mood lighting.
Yeah.
If you want to feel good in your own house, clean it and open the blinds.
Air out the windows. Open the windows. Let it air out. Yeah. Let's get to our score. Again, I'm pretty biased on this one. I gave it a 3 out of 10, which is pretty low for me.
Same as the sequel to the Exorcist. Like,
Yeah, Exorcist 2, it was also very bad. I will say, like, Exorcist 2 is probably a little more entertaining and being, like, having more interesting ideas and being, like, wacky. Just
wow.
having some wacky moments. So even I think they're about the same quality movie, like Exorcist 2 was probably more engaging to me.
Wow.
It's like seeing, a glitch in the Matrix. You're like, what is going on with this movie? And you can't turn away, What do you think, Sydney? What score would you give
So
Believer?
honestly, like when it started, I was like the first 20, 30 minutes, I was like, this is all right. Like, I'm not hating this. And then once it got into it, I was like, maybe I like this movie. Maybe it's okay. Like, I like the way it was cut. Like, it was very entertaining. I didn't know, the way it was cut was entertaining, to be clear. And then I didn't even know I was 50 minutes into the movie. And then once the exorcism started, my score went down. Like, I was like, we'll get into it, but I didn't like that. But I'm going to give it a higher score than you. I think I'm going to say a 4 out of 10. I know that's not very much higher than you, but it was because I was like, oh, this isn't bad at the beginning, but the end, 30, killed it for me. It was not good. So 4 out of 10.
Yeah, the exorcism takes forever. Like, it's funny that you call out 50 minutes, because one of my points is about 50 minutes into the movie, I'm like, oh, god damn it.
It's so long. Why is
It
it so
is long. It's really long.
Yeah. What say you, Max?
So I was pretty similar to Sydney, and where 30 minutes in, I was like, I'm feeling like a 5 right now. Like, it's not good, it's not terrible. And then it just got worse and worse and worse with every scene. And so I'm going to give it a 3 as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went into it. I mean, I saw plenty of bad reviews for this movie. I think I started watching Red Letter Media's and then stopped once they got to spoilers, because I knew I was going to watch it. But the people that I respect their opinions all said that this movie was terrible. So, had low expectations going in, and they were met. Speaking of low expectations, do you really expect to not hear commercials? You should know that you can expect to hear commercials unless you go to our Patreon, patreon.com/horror movie talk. Sign up at the $6.66 level. It's just $6.66 a month, and then you get advanced access to episodes as soon as I release them, and it's ad free, except honestly for this part. But this isn't considered an ad. Shut up.
Wait,
I don't
this
want to
is
cut
left
this out.
in the ad-free episode?
I don't want to cut it out. I ain't got time for that.
Guys, that's false advertising. What the heck?
You know what? You know what, Max? You're right. I probably should cut this part out. Anyways, also check out our shop at horrormovietalk.com/shop. We got our tees up. We do not have the Make Horror Movie Talk Great Again hat. This is a one-off. Maybe we'll auction it off later. It'll be
awesome.
a collector's item.
I love it.
Check out. My head is so big. It's
Stop
not
putting yourself down. Oh,
it's not actually attached. Like, I have to put it on the last two. If it was attached, it would be on the last two, and it would be tight. My head is large, so
Wow, exposed.
luckily these headphones are keeping it on.
you should auction that off, though, on the Facebook group. See how much money you can get for it.
On the Patreon.
Also check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. Contact him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00, and make your artistic dreams come true. If you want to leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. There it is. Spoiler alert. Okay, so, even though I didn't like this movie, there is a lot to talk about. There was a lot of, like, interesting things that came up while I watch it. Like, it starts out, they're in Haiti. The movie is written by... I assume, let's see, so Peter Sattler, David Gordon Green, and Scott Teems, which I assume are all white guys, and it feels like it was free association for, like, what do you know about Haiti? I don't know, voodoo and earthquakes? Like,
Yeah.
It reminded me of, like, what is that movie? The Serpent in the Rainbow from the 80s. It's a Wes Craven movie, and it's, I forget the actor, but he goes to Haiti, and it's just like this white guy in Haiti, and he's the only white guy in Haiti, and he's like, I know about all this voodoo stuff, okay, everyone? And they're like, oh my god, you do. Like, every person that lives in Haiti is like, you know everything. You got it. And it's a good movie. I like the movie because it's Wes Craven, and it's over the top, and it's awesome. But it reminded me a lot of that in the beginning.
Yeah, it feels like pretty heavy-handed with voodoo and earthquakes. It's like, this is just what happens. Like, you just stumble into, there's street urchins on the street that are pulling you into voodoo, ceremonies, which is weird.
And you know what? It may be the white guy in me talking, but that ceremony was kind of weird. She got spit on. They spit on her.
Yeah.
Max, it's a blessing.
I know. I'm just saying, like, if someone was blessing me and they spat on me, I'd be upset.
I thought that since they were like, oh, we're going to bless you, I thought that was going to be like the moment of like possession for the baby. Because that's just like how the Exorcist movies go. And I was like, oh. And then like once you go through the movie, you're kind of like, oh, that was a protection spell? That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, spoken like a true colonizer, Sydney.
I'm sorry.
Just because it's different doesn't mean it's evil. That's all
Hey,
I'm gonna say.
you're the one wearing a fake MAGA hat. I'm not the racist one here. Come on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There's going to be
see
so
you
many
next
reviews.
January 6th.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh, sorry.
Well, one thing I was thinking about during the earthquake scene was, Bryce, what would be scarier, falling into a sinkhole or having a building collapse on top of you?
Ooh.
Falling into a sinkhole. I think
You
this
think?
is well established, yeah. Because the sinkholes can swallow a building, and so...
Do sinkholes swallow whole buildings, though?
Yes.
Is that something that happens?
Yes.
All the videos I see, the sinkhole is like the size of like a car, maybe.
You're not deep into sinkhole internet lore. Then.
Not in the lore.
No, there's like pictures of. I mean, honestly, like most of the huge sinkholes are in urban environments in like third world countries because their plumbing is shitty, and so the water is like like from broken pipes is just creating huge chasms underneath. So there's like, I think it was in Guatemala. There's some pictures of like entire like city blocks basically like that are black holes. So yeah, I mean, earthquakes, sure. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in a a cinder block building in Haiti when an earthquake goes off. Like, yeah, that's not a good place to go. But there's a fighting chance. You could make it outside, if you're fast enough, if you juke enough, voodoo Haitians and
You juke enough Haitians.
you can get outside.
You juke enough pregnant women. Downstairs.
Yeah. You can get outside, but sinkholes, it's just the earth swallows you up and there's nothing you can do. Like, what are you going to do? Run?
You gotta do that thing where you're running up as it's falling. Like, every
you can
time
do
you step,
like
it's...
you can do a Wile E. Coyote, like where you like twinkle toes and then disappear and your body is a cloud of dust. Mm-hmm. But no, you're fucked if a sinkhole opens up.
Now, I was confused. Were they living in Haiti or were they just visiting? Because he's
think
living
they
in
were just-
America later.
Yeah, I think it was a
they're
vacation.
Just visiting. Yeah. It was visiting and they were taking lots of photos, so
Well, he's a photographer.
he's a photographer. So they're there. So there's an earthquake happens, and Leslie Odom Jr.'s wife gets injured in the earthquake. Yeah, a lot of good that voodoo blessing of protection does for her.
Well, they don't care about the mother. They only care about the baby.
Right. So in the hospital, the doctors give Leslie Odom Jr.'s character, which is Victor. They give Victor the choice of baby or wife. We can only save one of them, which is...
Yeah, I wanted to talk about this. Like, I really because it's framed in the beginning like he chose the baby, which I don't know.
Baby survives. Yeah.
Right. But obviously we find out later what actually happened. But yeah, at first I thought he chose the baby, and I was like, I don't know if I like that. I also don't have children, so I don't know what that feels like. But
yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting question. Max, you're married.
I am.
I don't think you have any kids yet, but
Well, I had something to share with you today, actually. My wife is pregnant, and we're having a girl.
oh my god! Congratulations!
So I know a lot about this topic already.
nice.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations. That's a special, special thing.
That's awesome.
Girls are awesome until age, 13,
Yeah.
I think, which is I'm not looking forward to. To be honest, age 10 is not a walk in the park either. But, yeah, that's awesome.
That's
Congratulations, Max.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is even better. Okay, so your wife is in an earthquake.
Okay.
Doctors tell you have to choose your wife or your baby. Who do you choose?
My wife. We can have more babies. I can't have
That's
more wives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I think.
I mean, it's like a tough decision in the sense that, obviously I don't want to have to make that decision, but yeah, I'd have to choose my wife. That's the only choice.
Yeah. How long have you been married, Max?
2 years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh no! I hope Aaron doesn't listen to this podcast. You're so mean.
I'm not saying that I would choose the wife over
What were you saying?
my baby over my wife. I'm just saying, like, you know, Max, you believe in eternal marriage, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's plenty of fish in the sea.
No,
Wow.
I'm not gonna even respond to that. I'm committed, Bryce. I'm here for the long
anyways,
haul.
Yeah, so yeah, if I was like 2 years into my marriage, like, of course I'd choose my wife. Now, I don't know. I really like my kids.
You've had a good run.
Yeah, she's had a good run. Like,
Wow. I can't wait to get married one day, guys.
Let's see what else is going on out there. You know, every child is different. Like, every child is new and different and gives you like new challenges and learning opportunities. Your wife is your wife.
Oh
you know?
my god.
Well, okay, but in this scenario, you haven't met your kid yet, right? You haven't grown to have
It's
memories
true.
and stuff
It's
with
true.
them. Like, choosing the life of your wife now and the kid that you've had for years, like, that's a very different story.
Right. Yeah, what if you like chose the baby, then it turned into like, we got to talk about Kevin.
Yeah,
Kid,
exactly. Exactly. You don't know.
You'd never know. It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah. So
You
yeah,
gotta
and then
choose
later,
the wife there.
Yeah. So, you know, now that I'm thinking of it, like, there's a weird messaging in this movie, or like from Victor's perspective, like, so it starts out with him having to choose his wife or the baby, and he chooses his wife, and his wife dies and he gets the baby. And then the demon gives him a choice of, like, you know, only one of these kids is going to survive. Like, you choose.
Right.
And I just realized Victor's probably like, I've done this before.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not
going to
doing
say anything.
I choose the white girl. Suckers.
Okay, well, let's not skip that far ahead yet, because I have so much to say about that. And
I know. I have this whole thing in notes, man. We gotta get through this.
Well, I mean, like, just framing it as like the switcheroo of like this Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
Like, it frames it a little different later on. So it skips forward and we see that his daughter survives, and she's like a teenager at this point. And there's like a little bit of like relationship stuff. It goes so quick. Like, they do not
fast.
have any time to really establish this. And this is like the thing that bothers me. And I know, like, it's not good to be like, I want the sequel to be exactly like the first one. But I'd at least like them to understand and maintain the things that make the first one good.
They never do.
Both movies having characters who develop and have relationships doesn't mean that they're the same. You know, it's not
Right.
pulling too much from the original to have good themes and development.
The thing that they do try, and it's like too heavy-handed, and it's not like the editing. They use some of the same like techniques, like the quick edits and kind of disturbing edits, but like, it's so heavy-handed and overused in this one that it just doesn't have the impact. Like, if you compare it to the original, like, they use it sparingly so it catches you genuinely off guard. Like, it's a normal movie until they have like this quick, cat jump.
Yeah.
They do it constantly in this movie. Like, it's constant. Like, oh, we're gonna flash, and here's gonna be a little blip of the demon. But that also bothered me was they didn't name the demon. Like, if they were like, oh, this is Pazuzu, I'd be like, cool.
Well,
Yeah. Well, Chris McNeil says, like, I know you, so like, it's assumed that it's
I think
Pazuzu.
I think that's all crap. Like,
But then I heard somewhere that the demon wasn't Pazuzu in this one. It was another. Oh,
It
wait,
just
let's
knew
see.
about Reagan. That possession was like international news in hell. Like everyone knew about Reagan.
Okay,
It's
here,
the best
here,
one ever.
Yeah.
yeah, here's in the credits apparently. The demon is Lamashtu.
Lamashtu.
Is that
Which-
connect to any of the sequels?
I don't think so. But yeah, then it makes like Chris McNeil's quote of "We've met before" is actually factually wrong.
Yeah.
I think I heard Lamashtu. I don't know. There's like something like Pazuzu. I can't remember what it was, but there's like something about like what their protection was, that like his conflict. So people were like positing that they're trying to set up like a Lamashtu and Pazuzu off in future movies, which would be hilarious.
Like Godzilla versus Kong.
Uh-huh.
It's gonna...
This is interesting. I just Googled it, and it says Lamashtu was a female demon goddess or demigoddess who menaced women during childbirth and kidnapped their children.
Yeah. So
That makes sense now.
Yeah.
So going back to the relationship between the father and the daughter, it does a lot of like telling instead of showing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it has that one scene in the beginning where they're like interacting with each other, and they're kind of seems like they're close, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't hear any of the dialogue. I don't know if you guys had the same problem, but I was struggling to hear the dialogue the whole time. And
Yep.
I tried to turn on subtitles. No subtitles available. for
Yeah,
the
it
movie.
didn't work for me for like 30 minutes, and then I like switched them on and off, and it worked, but it was really annoying.
yeah, it was weird. I had the same problem. Like I changed the sound settings because I have a sound bar, and it was set to. Because it was set to. Yeah, this is in the weeds. This is very, very interesting to our listeners. But it was set to 5.1, and I had the subtitles on, but they weren't showing up. Sometimes it does that with movies on Peacock. I think the subtitles don't turn on even though they're on. And so I was like, maybe the subtitles aren't on 5.1, so I turned it to like just the stereo English. And I watched probably about 30 minutes of it, and the sound was so awful. It was like the background sound was so loud, but it did have the subtitles. It did have the subtitles, so I could actually understand everything. But then I got like 30 minutes into it. I'm like, this can't be right. Like, I can barely make out what they're saying at all. And then I turned it back to 5.1, and it was fine. Like it was like the dialogue was fine, and then the subtitles stayed on for some reason. So I think some platforms like don't turn on subtitles unless you pause it and press play or whatever. So word to the wise, if you're using a sound bar, use 5.1 anyways on your
Thank
view.
you.
Well, anyways, they have that one scene where they're like interacting with each other, and then that's all we get about their relationship. And then later on, the dad's just like, we're close, like we're the closest. I know everything about her. We don't have secrets. Like, and it's like, okay, we don't know that about you. Like, you're just saying that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, in the original film, like you're shown just. It takes time to show you domestic moments with just like genuine interaction between mother and daughter, and it's actually impressive just from a filmmaking screenwriting perspective because it feels very genuine, and it establishes it actually pretty quickly. Like it doesn't like waste any time, and there's a lot of like short, what's it called, it's kind of like a short code for a relationship, and and it's very believable, but all it takes is taking like a couple breaths to like make it feel like this is everyday life among two people, and this is a moment, a moment that's genuine. It doesn't tell you everything, but it tells you enough that it's like, oh, they have a good relationship and they love each other, and there's humor shared between them. Like it establishes a lot about the personalities of Chris McNeil and Reagan very quickly. And this one, like, they're trying to shove in two girls into it, and so they can't waste any time or take any
there's
breathing
jumping
room.
back and forth between two families that we know nothing about.
Yeah, and the other family gets almost no establishment. Like we
You
don't
just
know
know
anything
that they're
about them.
Christian. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And they live in a really nice house.
very much like with them. It's like the tell don't show for that family. It's like, oh, she's devout and she's a top student at school.
Yeah.
All right, now we know that. Let's move on. Also, like this, we're just shown this girl, and then immediately she goes off into the woods and has a seance. You know, we're not given any information about like why or
Yeah,
like,
I was so
how
mad.
she knows how to do a seance.
I was
like
so
she's got
mad.
like all the instructions.
Yeah, and she's like, and then she explains, like, later after she gets possessed, after she goes missing, and like she's telling her father about it, she's like, oh yeah, I wanted the other little girl to like also talk to my mom, who I hear sometimes. And it's like, that should have been established when they were going to do the seance. They should have been like, oh, I want you to talk to my dead mom, like I hear her sometimes. Like they could have just said that. It's 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting to see what hit the editing room floor on this movie. Just like there's probably a lot of like establishing stuff. Like there's another one that comes out of the blue is Stu the neighbor. Did this guy ever get introduced before he's just inside Victor's apartment with a bunch of voodoo
Oh my God.
priestesses?
He's his gym coach too.
I thought it
Oh,
was
is that what it
the
is?
other
Yeah.
dad for so long until the fucking exorcism. And then when we got to the exorcism, they were 2 different people, and I was like, did I miss something? I didn't know. I had no idea. I was like, when did they differentiate
His
between
neighbor
these people?
is his gym coach, so they go and he like trains him to box, I guess, because they wanted to have a callback to the original Exorcist where he boxes for like half a second.
Did they show him in the gym in this
They
movie?
did.
Yeah,
They did.
and he's boxing.
It's towards the
I guess
beginning. It's before he does the photography stuff.
Okay.
Like while his daughter's at school.
Okay, so I completely missed that. Like yeah, I mean it goes by so quick that like you don't like this guy just shows up in his house with a bunch of voodoo priestesses and you're like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? Like I'd be super pissed. You know,
Yeah.
some random guy showed up doing voodoo rites in my house.
Yeah, but back to that ritual they're doing. I don't know what kind of message this movie is trying to send, because like how innocent of a ritual could you be doing? Like 2 young girls, one wants to talk to her dead mom and the other is just helping her. And then spoiler alert, one of the girls goes to hell for it forever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little interesting. Also, there's a lot of anti-abortion rhetoric in this movie.
I was gonna say the same thing. I was like, is this what the main message of the movie was? Like, it's very
I mean,
interesting.
They're pretty disrespectful towards the Catholic Church, but the doctrine very respectful.
doctrine's
towards
sound, okay?
Yeah, doctrine is sound. Do not abort babies, like, or else you will regret it.
Yeah, they
and
gave
possibly open the gates of hell.
Yeah, they gave the neighbor Anne like so they gave her all the screen time that they should have given the 2 families to set things up. They gave her they talked about her being an ex-nun in like 5 different scenes, and I'm not exaggerating.
Right.
I'm not exaggerating. Like, and they were just like, yes, I was supposed to have this baby, and then the demon's like, you were supposed to have the baby. You were supposed to have the baby. You should have had the baby. You should have had the and it's like, okay, girl, like we get it. Like, calm down. It was very strange.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of message. I don't know what the morals were about. It was about parenthood, kind of. Like, that's
Yeah, 'cause
what I got.
Yeah, the demon. Yeah, I mean, this tells us demons are staunchly Catholic because they, number one, they respect patriarchy. Like when the Catholic priests tell them to leave, they get out of there.
They did kill him
Eventually. You know, well,
Yeah,
there's
but they
that.
were getting pretty wrecked before that.
They
But
were.
they're-
They were.
They are staunchly anti-abortion because they're like really, shaming the one neighbor, and they also were shaming Victor for choosing to abort, the baby.
Insane.
To be fair,
to
though,
save
I
his
don't know
wife.
if the movie was trying to say that that's bad. I mean, the demons were mocking them and making them feel bad for their decisions. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
same thing as the movie being like, they shouldn't have done that.
Well, if they hadn't done that, the demon wouldn't have anything to
No, I
make
guess
him
that's
feel
fair.
guilty
It's their own
about.
fault.
Right.
I know. Was that like the only sin? Like they only called out the neighbor's sin for not having her baby, and then the father's choice, but they didn't call out anything with the other pastor or the priestess that was the doctor, the other doctor that was there. They didn't call out anything with the white parents. Like there was.
Well, they were good people.
Oh, right. Because we have no setup, so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
they're just good. They're good Protestants or whatever.
Didn't you hear? They said that they're good people who go to church, and that's all we know about them. So
Oh
what
yeah,
else could
that's
you,
it. That's their character.
What dirt could they have on them?
Nothing.
But in the end, they're selfish because they chose their. That's the other like weird thing that like, what are you trying to say here, movie? Because
That was crazy.
the white dad chooses his daughter, and because of that, you know, he loses his daughter.
The demon tricked
But it's
them.
also like, okay, so wait, are you saying that's bad that he's choosing his daughter, or like it's so he's punished for caring about his? It's like it's just weird.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's a prank.
because like in this movie, you know, unlike what we're told, this demon is just a truth teller. Like everything that it promises, it fulfills. It's like, listen, if you well, I guess that's not true because he kills it kills the wrong kid. But assuming if it has the power to kill one of them, it could kill both of them, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So,
Why not?
some choice has got to be made. So I mean, talking about like how fast this movie is going, like I watched The Exorcist again last month, and I just realized how in this movie nothing else is happening than the exorcism, just
Yeah.
the story of the exorcism. And in The Exorcist, like there's just so much going on,
Yeah.
and it's established so quickly. So we've got like a faith crisis. We've got a guy dealing with aging parents. There's like poverty, divorce,
Single mother.
single mother, homicide investigation, friendships. There's parties with arguments about like old wounds from the war. It's like there's a lot of humanity going on and a lot being explored in terms of like human struggle, to where when we're shown the demon, it uses all these interesting things, and it's a commentary on all of like this darkness, because the demon uses like Damien's guilt about abandoning his mother. It uses the friendships, and like all this stuff is fair game for making people feel bad.
Yeah, well, and
So-
that's the worst
and
part
there's-
about
it's just not in this movie. It's just like, no, there's two girls that get possessed and then they get exorcised. Like that's
Yeah.
what the movie's about,
That's
right?
it.
What else is there?
Well, that's the worst part about this movie, because I felt like the message they were trying to get across was like the good of humanity when we come together,
Right.
Yeah.
which is so stupid because all like they didn't set that up at all. It was like so forced down our throats of like they're giving this monologue of like it only works when we're together. We have to be together, and then it shows like a montage of like the exorcists assembling like the Avengers.
I know. Oh my
It's
God.
just weird, and it doesn't make me feel anything. I felt nothing. I felt
Yeah.
annoyed.
Yeah, it's very wishy-washy, and it is like a lot of telling, not showing, again, where it's like a lot of lines were like, oh, okay. Like, here's some lines that just jumped out. It's like, I get it. I get what you're doing. There's I guess it takes all kinds when they're talking about like the different
It was so
religious
annoying.
traditions.
Stupid.
It was really frustrating.
They didn't have
honestly.
the missionaries there, so I guess it
Yeah.
doesn't take all kinds.
It
And
was
then
yeah.
And then they also say, like, after the neighbor that's performing the Roman rite, it's not really working, so someone else says, we need to try something new. Where it's like, I almost felt like they're going to wink into the camera. It's like, see what we're doing here? See how we're using all of these different religious traditions and how it's universal? And it comes off as like, as very wishy-washy, because like the thing about using Catholicism and using like the theology and framework of a religious ritual and having like religious authority, it makes it have more impact, because in the story it's like the people either believe or they don't, you know, and like it's there are stakes, whereas with like this, Ocean's 11 crew of exorcists, everyone's like, does this matter to anyone? Like, does anyone care about any single ritual or rite or tradition here? Or are we all like, I don't know, let's just throw everything, at the wall and see what sticks?
The demon keeps telling the main character, like, you don't believe. What is he supposed to believe?
Right.
Yeah. There was like,
there's so many different things going on.
Whatever you want. It's the woke world. Like that, like that's my problem with this movie, is that like I understand that like we want to have diversity in movies. That's awesome. That's something that should be happening, and I think it has been happening like more so in the past few years. But this movie was like, we're gonna do all religions, which is 3 religions, and we're gonna have white people and black people. That's it. Diversity.
Covered it all.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so we have voodoo, we have Protestants and Catholics. Like that's like they're both Christians. Like,
well, they're all Christian traditions,
right? And
like,
so is
voodoo...
Haitians are very it's all Christian. Like so it's like, okay, and that's all like all exorcism movies, not just the Exorcist franchise, like they have something to do with Catholicism or Christianity. So it's like, yeah, we get it. That's what's going to happen. Just stick to your guns. Like, it's fine. It'll work. Like, you don't need to be like, ooh, we're all over the place.
It's totally
I don't even think it's necessarily bad that they like move away from Catholicism in it. Like, but I think they should focus on one at least.
Yes.
Like,
just pick a lane and stick to it. It's fine. Like, no, it's not like everyone thinks that if you pick Catholicism that the movie is trying to say that the Catholics are like right. It's like that's just the story.
I will say the moment where the priest comes in, I was rooting for him.
Me too.
Like, I would love that to be the takeaway of the movie, is like, oh yeah, patriarchal authority for the win. Just like, get out of the way, suckers. You don't have any papal authority.
He just walks in and tells all the women to get out. He's like, this won't work with you here.
Men only.
This is a boys' club.
Y'all are unclean. Get out of here.
Can we talk about Chris McNeil? Like, can we?
Yes.
Like,
oh my god. What a character assassination.
It was pointless to have her in the film. It was absolutely pointless. They set it up cool. They were like, oh, she did all these talk shows. She wrote books. She became really like knowledgeable about exorcisms. And then you meet her and she's like, yeah, I'll help. Woohoo. And then she goes and she's like, she gets her eyes stabbed out, and then that's the rest of the movie for her. She's in a hospital bed with no eyes. Okay, great.
Sucks for her.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like... Yeah, that's the thing. Like, the other thing about The Exorcist is, and we talked about this on the previous reviews that me and Sydney did, which were both exorcism movies.
Just keep going with the exorcism movies.
I know. The Exorcist, like... It was shocking, and it's still shocking. Like, there's something where it goes hard. I mean, there's nothing more shocking than seeing, like, a still, like, what you've seen previously is an innocent preteen girl or early teen girl, and then you see her later in the film violently masturbating with a crucifix or shoving her mom's face into her bloody
horrifying.
vagina. And it's like, you know what? I don't think you can get much more shocking than that for me. And none of these exorcism movies like approach it. Like even stabbing out Chris McNeil's eyes, like
I was like, okay,
all right, boring. It's like, yeah, it's
tomato.
not. It doesn't have the impact at all. So yeah, but the other thing is like Chris McNeil's character, like I guess it's kind of interesting that she would write a book and talk about it, but like it completely ignores anything about her character in the first movie.
Yeah.
Which is she's a working famous actress. Like
Yeah.
they didn't mention that like she gave up her career as a famous actress to talk about exorcism and religious traditions around exorcism, which is kind of feels weird. That they
It
didn't
is
mention that.
weird.
And then the worst part is that the whole point of the first movie is that her and her daughter have a great relationship and are super close, and they're like, oh, mom wrote a book, I don't like her anymore, I'm going to completely estrange myself from her. It's like, what is going on?
And that decision is just so weird because, like, at the end of The Exorcist, Reagan doesn't remember what happened, right? And and so immediately what her mom does is like, I have to just traumatize my child by telling her the gruesome details of what happened and write it in a book. Like, it just doesn't feel like something she would have done.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, and then like casting aspersions to the priests as being like, you know, the patriarchy and, you know, males that are, you know, condescending. It's like, bitch, they saved your fucking daughter and both died for it.
Yeah, they
It's like,
gave up their lives for your
have
daughter.
some fucking gratitude.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
she probably
maybe
would
a
have been
little
dead if
bit.
she was in that room too.
Yeah,
Can we say
100%.
at least, can we acknowledge at least that it worked? And you should be grateful. It's just that whole character is bizarre and
makes no
also
sense.
very tacked on, because as she was following around Victor and visiting these girls, like, I'm asking myself, yeah, but why though? Why would she do that?
It doesn't
Like,
make any sense. It doesn't
Yeah.
fit to the story. If she wasn't in it at all, nothing would have changed, honestly. Like, I mean, it would have been a little bit better and they wouldn't have ruined her entire, like, character. Because, like, even in the second Exorcist from the one that we reviewed, like, she's not in the movie, which is weird, but it's established that she's just, like, working really hard on movies and she like, checks in on Reagan. Like, it's not... Like, and she's not writing this fucking book. Like, it would have been happening then, right? Because the video we saw of her looked like it was in the 70s. So, I don't know.
Well, I think everyone's ignoring the existence of heretics. So
probably.
and moving on. But yeah, I mean, they even make a point of having Chris McNeil's character say, "I am not an exorcist. I'm just like
an expert in exorcism."
An expert in exorcism.
But then she tries to exorcise the girl.
Exactly. Immediately she like takes it upon herself to be like, get thee out, evil spirit, and then get stabbed in the eyes.
Yeah.
I'm just so sick of legacy characters. We don't need them. You don't need a legacy character to make a movie. You just don't.
Agree.
Like everything, it seems kind of cool for a minute unless you start thinking about it. It's like Jamie Lee Curtis in the Halloween reboots is like, it's kind of interesting because she's like, you know, there and like has this vendetta, but also it's like, well, wait a minute. In the timeline of this movie, only Halloween 1 and 2 happens, which is 1 or 2 nights of her life, and she's still obsessed with it like 40 years later.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, people move on. Like even, you know, attempted murder victims, they tend to move on and just have a normal life if they're not constantly attacked. So it's like that breaks down. Same thing with Chris McNeil in this movie. It's like, it's a weird thing. I was like excited about this movie when I heard that Ellen Burstyn was going to be in it, because I was like, oh, it must be good enough for Ellen Burstyn to sign off on it, because she steered away from Heretic. Like when she saw that script, she's like, "Fuck no, I'm not gonna do that shit."
Good choice.
But apparently, like, she's like, "Whatever, paycheck, I'll take it."
And good for her.
And appears in this movie, but yeah, it's weird. Some of the I skipped over a little bit. Like a lot of the dark imagery and like the editing is pretty heavy-handed. Like when Victor is editing that family's photo shoot, it like does all these weird glitches and stuff. And it's like, what are we trying to do here? Like, what are we trying to say other than like scary stuff is afoot?
She's not even possessed at that point either. It's just scary stuff is happening already.
Right. And then there's like some digital effects on the face later in the movie that's like, okay,
Yeah.
Can we just like let the evil speak for itself as opposed to trying to force it? You know, can we just like let stuff happen as opposed to saying like, be scared.
Did you guys
Be scared. Look, scary face. There's another scary face.
Did you guys feel like the makeup was pretty lackluster on the girls? It just felt like it didn't live up to the makeup in the original.
Yeah. I mean, you know how they were taking pictures of them when they got back after 3 days missing at the hospital, and you saw the picture later that Victor shows to Chris, and it says like help on his daughter's back or whatever, and it's like, why didn't we get to see that, like, actually? Like, we just see a photo of it. Yeah, I don't think... And I think even, like, their voices were fine. Like, their demonic voices were fine. But it still was, like... It was very lacking. And I think the, Catherine, the little girl Catherine, was not as good as an actor as Angela was. So I was like, man, this is kind of stupid.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little weird. Like, again, it's not... It moves too quick, so it's like, okay, now they're, you know, super creepy looking, like after the first 20 minutes of even meeting them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for it to be as impactful, and the fact that there's two, like it has the same mistake that superhero movies made in the 90s, which is it's a sequel, so there's got to be two of them. We got to have two villains in the sequel, and if it's the third movie, you got to have three villains, because more villains is betterer. So like the assumption that like we'll have two possessions because that's cooler, and it's like, no, ends up you don't have enough time for both of them, and it just waters it down, and it seems like it's less of a threat. You know?
Right.
I just imagine the writing room being like, all right, we all know The Exorcist was a hit, but what is the one thing that could make it better? Two little girls. And then everyone just goes crazy, and they're like writing it as fast as they can.
Great idea, man. Great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Then the exorcism takes forever.
It's the
and
worst.
Then there's like
Sucks.
different moments where it's like, I love the part where they, you know, burn some smoke or wherever the voodoo ritual.
That was where I was like, this movie sucks. This movie
it
sucks.
overtakes the demon smoke and then sucks it up, and then it's like there's a beat where I think Victor says, "Is it over?" And then immediately the woman says, "No." Like, is it over? No, it's not over.
That was
We
just
still
a
got
start.
still got a lot to
That
do.
was the beginning of it.
Yeah, even though we've been going for 30 minutes already. Oh my god. I thought that it was stupid CGI smoke. They could have done a practical effect for that. I don't understand why they wouldn't. It's not that fucking hard to create smoke.
Smoke and a fan.
Yeah.
Do the
Oh my
same
god.
thing.
Wow. Like, let's just spend all our money on CGI. That's my problem with like newer horror movies sometimes, is that they rely so heavily on CGI that it makes it not believable. And like I'm a real sucker for practical effects, real sucker for older horror movies like 70s, 80s, like that's like my favorite era of horror movies. So it's like I'm always going to be like, with The Nightmare on Elm Street had all these effects and it was really cool. But like, I don't know. That was a moment with that fucking stupid smoke. I was like, I hate this movie. It sucks. I don't want to watch this anymore. Like...
Yeah, I did not check this. Sorry, like I just saw this note and I forgot about it, but there's one line in the movie where it's like, it says like, we're like Job in the desert. And I was like, was Job in the desert?
I thought the same thing.
I was like, wait a minute. No, it's Jesus was tempted in the desert.
Yeah.
And I think they might have just crossed it because I don't remember there ever being a point in the story of Job that he was in the desert. He was just...
Yeah, I thought Job was like a wealthy man who like lived on a pasture or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so weird.
I mean, just like have some respect for the Bible, people.
I know.
I don't know. So tell me if I'm wrong. Someone else that's got a theology degree or something. But yeah, even that little stuff where it's like just it tweaks me off. Where I'm like, wait a minute, what? Are we just confusing, religious stories now, to like tell this mediocre story?
Well, they couldn't even do enough research to watch the original Exorcist. You think they're gonna read the Bible?
True.
Oh, wait. Job was... Hold on. Yeah, he was wealthy, but there's a part where a mighty wind swept in from the desert and destroyed the house where Job's children were gathered for a feast, killing all of them. But that's all about the desert. The wind came in from the desert. It's not like he was in the desert. If you're gonna make a horror movie that is like so based on like religion, you should probably try to get it right. Like I don't know, just
right,
throw that out there. Like, jeez.
Yeah, I'd love the next sequel to be like, instead of having any religious tradition, just have the exorcism be performed by secular humanists. They're like, you know what? There's no such thing as...
Just a scientist comes in and he's like working with beakers and stuff.
It's like, actually, it is mental health.
Hashtag mental health awareness.
Actually, it's just a trauma response.
Well,
and
so
she's acting out.
At the end... so the priest comes in, he gets his neck snapped, right? And then they make the choice, and then one of the little girls is just ripped to hell. Absolutely just like burning forever. How do you explain that to the police? Because the police show up, and then I guess everyone just is fine.
Yeah, imagine you're the police coming, and there's like a dead girl, there's like chairs nailed to the ground with like circles on the ground drawn in chalk and medical equipment and like a ragtag group of like different religions, and you're like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm like, listen, I know it looks bad, it looks like we murdered this child, but it was a demon, okay?
Yeah.
And the police are like, oh, okay, makes sense, but whatever. And then like the exorcism happens, like it's kind of feels as arbitrary as Chris McNeil's eye is getting poked out, that like, oh, one of them dies. See, don't you have like, isn't it bittersweet? Isn't it like a big sacrifice that one of them dies, the one that you cared less about because you developed your character less? Like, isn't that so impactful and it causes you emotional pain? Like, no. And then it ends with the unearned, like, Reagan shows up to Chris and it's like, yay, it's Linda Blair. All right, whatever. But there's no, like, she just shows up. There's no, like, what is that trying to say? Like,
I don't know why she would show
she showed up.
Like, how would she know that her mom...
She heard about it.
Yeah, she's probably like, oh, finally, she got blinded. I guess I can go back now. Like, which is also kind of sad because one of Chris's lines is like, I just wish I could see her beautiful face again. It's like, nope.
So
Anyways.
strange.
Well, I guess the moral of the story is don't help your friend talk to their dead mother for, to relieve their pain, or you will go straight to hell.
Right. Okay, so who would like this movie?
Not fans of The Exorcist.
Not fans of The Exorcist.
I think, well, it's funny because my roommate and her boyfriend saw this in theaters, and he didn't like it. He's like a lifelong horror fan. And I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna feel the same way. But she liked it, and she just recently got into horror movies. So I think that people who recently got into horror movies and usually watch like newer horror movies, they might like it. But I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't know who to recommend this to.
It's tough.
Like, even as a horror movie, it's pretty like, who cares?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I guess if you're a Exorcist IP completionist, you watch this one.
I feel like it's a good movie for like, a bunch of friends get together and they don't really watch scary movies, but they're like, oh, we should watch a scary movie tonight.
Yeah.
And they throw this on. It would be fine. Like, no one would really care about how bad it is.
Those people are probably not listening to this podcast, though.
No,
so
they're
we
not.
can't. Unfortunately.
All right. Well, let's move on to a new game called Demon or Utah Name. So in this game, we'll try to do it a little rapid fire, but I'm going to say a name, and since there's two of you, you're going to call out your own name, Max or Sydney, to ring in, and whoever rings in first gets to answer.
Oh, okay.
Wait, so to buzz in, I have to say Max.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if you want like a more percussive name, you could go by Pete. Or Sydney, you could go by Tina.
I'll do that. Okay.
Cool. And I'll say the name, and then you have to guess whether it's a Utah name or a name of an actual demon in a religious tradition.
Okay.
Okay. First name. Rayleigh. Spelled Raylee.
Pete.
Max.
I'm gonna say it's a demon name because I've never heard of a city called Rayleigh.
No, it's not a city name. It's a person's name, like someone. It's like a Utah baby name. Sorry.
No, that's for
Like the
sure a
name of an
Utah
actual
baby
person.
name.
Okay. All right. I also was on the same wave as Max.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's
not
fine.
Utah
It's fine.
name, like a Utah or a Mormon.
Oh, that makes a lot more
Child's
sense.
name.
No, it's a
All
baby
right.
name.
Cool.
Okay. Rayleigh is a Utah name. Okay, I'll give that one to Max.
Okay, cool.
You guys keep your own score because I'm doing things. Okay, next up, Riot, spelled Rhyat.
Tina.
Max.
That's a baby name.
It's a Utah baby name. What
is
were you
a
going to say,
ter-
Sydney?
I was also going to say that, but,
Okay.
Gotta be quicker.
Okay.
I know, I'm sorry.
Next up, Corson, spelled Corson.
Tina.
Tina. Sydney.
Maybe I should just say Sydney. I'll go with demon name.
It's a baby name.
It is a demon name. No! Corson is one of the 4 principal kings that have power over the 72 demons that are supposedly constrained by King Solomon, according to the Lesser Key of Solomon.
Fuck yeah.
Oh.
Corson is not to be conjured except on great occasions. Okay. Next up, Preta, spelled Preta.
I've heard of Peep. I'm gonna say it's a baby name because I feel like I've heard it before.
Max, I'm sorry. It's known as a hungry ghost, which is the Sanskrit name for a type of supernatural being described in Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, and Chinese.
All right, I really got to change my approach here. I got to change my approach.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Lilin, spelled Lilin.
Tina.
Sydney.
Utah name.
Lilin were hostile night spirits that attacked men in ancient Mesopotamia religion and Jewish folklore.
Wow. Okay. This is hard.
It is hard.
Do people who like aren't familiar with Utah get the joke? Because
I get
Utah
it.
is just crazy with baby names. Like they just do weird names. So how am I supposed to know?
Yeah, for example, my favorite one was Absidy, spelled ABCDE.
Oh.
Holy shit.
That's bad.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe on the after pod we'll have to talk about baby names that I'm thinking about for my
Yeah.
we'll-
We can give you ideas.
Okay, next up, Lakey, spelled L-I-K-E.
Tina.
Peep.
Tina.
Utah name.
It is a Utah name.
That's what I was gonna guess too.
Cool.
Okay, next up, Dagon, spelled D-A-G-O-N. Max.
That is a demon name.
Dagon is a god worshipped in ancient Syria across the middle of the Euphrates.
Nice.
And there's lots of other stuff. Okay, next up, Sabine, S-A-B-I-N-E.
Tina.
Sydney.
I honestly just called up the name.
come on.
No, I'll say it's a demon. I'll say it's a demon.
It is a Utah name.
What? That's a terrible name.
Sabine. All right. Next up,
It's cute.
Samara, S-A-M-A-R-A. Sydney.
That's a demon.
That's a Utah name. It's actually probably both.
It's from the Ring. It's from the Ring. The girl from the Ring was named
That's
Samara.
just her name. That's not a demon name. That's just
Fuck.
the little
Right,
girl's
it's-
name.
All
She
right.
grew up in Utah.
Shit.
Let me double check. Let me double check Wikipedia
No,
to
you're
make
right,
sure
you're
that
right.
Sabine
Oh.
is not on the list.
Sabine. It's a cute
Sabine
little
is not
baby.
on the list. I'm sorry. Sorry,
Color-
Samara.
color bean.
Samara is what I was looking for. Was
Ding.
No, Samara is not on the list.
Yeah, it just says the Ring.
I love how hard this game is.
It's
Okay,
so
next
fucking
up,
hard.
Hanya, spelled H-A-N-N-Y-A.
Peep.
Max.
That sounds like a baby name to me, if I ever heard one.
The Hanya is a mask used in Japanese no theater representing a jealous female demon. It's characterized by two sharp bull-like thorns, metallic eyes, and a leering mouth.
Damn.
I'm getting wrecked right now.
Damn.
All right, next up, Givliana, spelled G-I-V-L-I-A-N-A.
Tina.
Okay, Sydney.
I'm gonna say that's a Utah name.
It is a Utah
Thank
name.
God.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it. Next up, Tannin, spelled T-A-N-N-I-N. Max.
I've met a Tannin in Utah. That is a baby name.
Unfortunately, it's a demon, ultimately from Akkadian, likely vocalized. It's a sea monster in Canaanite and Hebrew mythology.
I feel like I should get the
used as a
point, 'cause
symbol
I've-
of chaos and evil.
I've
you know a
met a
Tannin.
Tannin.
Is it spelled T-A-N-N-I-N? No,
No, probably not.
Damn.
yeah,
I don't know.
probably
Damn.
O-N. Which is actually kind of surprising for a Utah name, because I remember the rationale for not drinking coffee is it's got tannins in it. You don't want to drink any tannins.
There is no rationale.
Okay, next up is Chort. Spelled C-H-O-R-T.
Tina.
Or
Sydney.
I'll say that's a baby name.
Max, what say you?
that's not a baby name. If you name your kid Chort, you're evil.
Chort is in Slavic mythology.
Okay.
A singular Chort is sometimes identified as the son of god Chernobog and the goddess Mara.
I would love to meet a Chort. That'd be funny.
I would say, Max, I think Chort needs to be on the short list for your daughter's name.
Yeah, I'll bring it up to my wife.
Let me introduce you to Chort Allen. That's a great name for a middle child.
Let me see Chort Allen's card.
You have, Raylin, then Chort, and then Max Jr.
Yeah.
Perfect. The whole crew.
And Chort is kept in the basement. He's allowed up on Christmas and his birthday.
Aw, sweet.
All right, we got one. What's our scores? Have you
I
guys
don't
been
know.
keeping track?
I got 3 right.
Okay.
I
I
don't
think
remember.
Sydney's in the lead.
I
to
think
be
so.
honest.
I've gotten a lot wrong.
No kidding. Sorry.
I think Max, you got 2. Let's say Sydney 3, Max 2.
Okay.
All right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 left. Okay. Next up, Aivlin, spelled Aivlyn. Max.
I'm going baby name.
It is a Utah name.
Nice.
Next up, Seneca, spelled Senecca.
Tina.
Peep.
Sydney, I think you just irked it out.
Okay. I'm gonna say that's a baby name.
Seneca's a Roman
Correct.
philosopher.
It's also a Utah baby name. Okay. Next up, Beleth,
Peep.
spelled Beleth.
I'm going demon.
Max? Beleth is a king of hell who has 85 legions of demons under his command.
Wow.
He rides a pale horse, and a variety of music is heard before him, according to most authors on demonology.
Nice.
Okay, next up, Maili, Maili.
Tina.
Peep.
Sydney.
Utah baby name.
Correct. Last one.
I have a cousin-in-law named Maylee.
Oh.
Okay, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this. It's either Boone or Bune, but it's Bune.
Peep.
Max.
If it's Boone, it's a baby name.
Okay. Well, it's spelled Bune, so you got to make a call.
Yeah. I'll go baby name.
Boone, or Bune, is a duke who is able to move the dead, make one rich, and answer a variety of questions.
Damn. Damn.
The Livre de Spirits claims Bune rules 35 legions of spirits, while other texts only give him 30 legions to command.
That was hard.
Still up.
That was hard.
That actually was really hard. That was a good
I think
game.
we tied though, so.
No, I think Sydney. I think he edged him out.
I think
I
he
think he
did.
got one more than him. So I don't know. We can go back to the.
I mean, honestly, a lot
Play
of that was a
back.
guessing game.
Yeah. I don't know demon names or Utah baby
I
names.
seriously thought we were doing city names for some
City
reason.
names. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me
that'd
too.
be too easy.
That would be a little easier. for me.
Not for
Okay.
me.
Well, thanks everyone for listening to the show. Thanks,
Thank
Max and
you.
Sydney, for joining me
Thank
on
you.
this episode. This episode is brought to you by me and Riverside, who is going to do an automated edit of it. So
Cool.
forgive me if it sounds like shit. Thanks to new patrons and current patrons. I don't know. Let me see if there's any new patrons.
Give me the names of those new patrons. I want to thank them personally.
I'm literally a new patron. I'm so sorry.
Yes, Sydney. Thanks to Sydney.
Yeah, I'm an asshole.
And
Fake fan. I've been a patron for like a couple of years now.
I've
so.
been broke for a long time, okay?
and Amy M is a new patron. And a lot of people canceled.
Amy
so
M.
please-
Amy M.
So
Please subscribe. It's so fun to watch the
It is so
afterpods, to
fun.
get all the extra stuff. It's so cool. It's so worth it. It's $6.66 a month.
I'll
You
dump
can do it.
all of my secrets into the paywall.
Yeah.
All right. So join us on Patreon. Also share the podcast with a friend. All those things. If you want to call and leave a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. See ya later, folks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good day, sir.
Blip.
Good day, sir. You look. Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods.
We all just muted. Bryce, you're muted.
Didn't sound good.
Oh, fuck, not the woods. Nothing good ever happens in the woods.
Yeah, because I muted you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You muted yourself and we couldn't hear the music, so we got confused.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I muted the music. I'm sorry. Oh, I should have done it on my board. Okay, well, we got to redo that now.
Good day, sir.
Ah, fuck it.
Okay.
See you later, everyone. Bye. Now you just see us awkwardly looking at each other. That was my fault. Bye, everyone.